com. This is where we discuss financial issues. We do it from a Black perspective. We put the Black community first. We solve our own problems. And our goal is to close the wealth gap by being economically intelligent and making good decisions for our families. And so today I have the distinct honor and pleasure of speaking with an attorney that I have known for years, that I have tremendous admiration and respect for, who has just an all-around great person and great lawyer by the name of Tanya Nebo. Tanya is out of Atlanta, right? You're still in Atlanta? Am I correct? Okay. Yeah, yes. And if I'm not mistaken, Tanya graduated from the University of Virginia Law School. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes, which I know is a great law school. And so I want to welcome Tanya to the Black Financial Channel. How are you doing today, sister?
I am doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So everybody, as you come in, say hi to Attorney Nebo. We got to cheer on the smart Black women who come through the space, and put your hashtag B1 in the chat, hashtag B and the number 1. That's our calling card. We put our community at the top of our priority list, and we will build our community by any means necessary. All right. So Attorney Nebo, let's just jump right in. Let me ask you. You are out of Atlanta, and you've been practicing law for how many years?
I've been practicing since 2005.
Okay.
Oh. Let's do that math.
Just a few years. Wow. That's amazing. So you've been practicing law since you were 12 years old. Okay, good.
Oh, well,
There we go. There we go. That makes us about 28 or so. That's the age I'm sticking with. And you specialize. Tell me, break down for us your legal specialty and what you're really good at.
Okay, so my areas of practice are business, commercial real estate, and franchise. And there are a number of things that fall under those different categories, right? I do a number of business acquisitions where people are buying small businesses, people buying existing franchises or getting started in new franchises. And then, of course, putting those businesses somewhere. So we do a lot of commercial leasing as well as commercial real estate closings. So buying.
Commercial leasing and commercial real estate closings. Okay. Yeah. And you, it's interesting. You know, one thing that I admire about what you do, and this is what I admire about good lawyers like you in the first place, is that, you know, that song, Where the Money Resides? Like, people like you ever heard that song?
No, I think you should sing it. Are you going to sing it?
I can't sing it. I think it's okay. Honestly, it's sang by a dude who's not, it's not a masculine song. Let me just say that. I ain't even making fun of nobody, but you ain't going to see me singing like that. But I do know that phrase from the song, Where the Money Resides. And he's basically like, show me where the money resides. And I joke about that because a lot of times when it comes to building, legacies of wealth in our family and things like that, it's a matter of knowing where the money resides, right? Barking up the right tree, not the wrong tree, right? Chasing the rivers and lakes you're used to and not chasing waterfalls, or knowing how to, put your energy into the right things. And so one thing about lawyers I find, and maybe you can help me refine this thought, is that because you're involved in all these deals and you're literally doing the contract, seeing the numbers, which I can imagine the numbers can get crazy, you're seeing where the money resides. You're seeing the money flowing back and forth like a river. And I think that's almost like a huge advantage in terms of financial consciousness, if you will, like sort of saying, okay, I know that there's a lot of money over here, over there. Can you sort of, fix my statement and tell me how accurate I am in what I just said?
I think you're quite accurate, because the nature of commercial, right? By definition, it means it's business. It's transactions, it's assets, it's things that can create income. So that's one reason I love commercial real estate, is because it's business oriented. You know, when people are dealing with homes and, anything residential matters, it can get emotional because it's often, that's where they want to live. I don't want to deal with those emotions. I just don't. And that's just how I've been, right? So I like commercial because it is business oriented and people come into it with a different kind of mindset. So, in the mindset of a business owner and a mindset of what will create the money, where will the money be, how will we generate the money, and what will be done with those funds. So even I was talking to someone the other day, actually one of your students, Dr. Boyce, about 1031 tax deferred exchanges. When you talk about following the money, especially in real estate investment, and taking your real estate investments and kind of essentially flipping up, you can literally never pay capital gains taxes And you can then pass it on to your children who, as long as they flip up and flip up and flip up, can also avoid capital gains taxes on real estate. So
wow.
I kind of went, that meandered a little bit, but it is about money and it's about producing money using assets.
I think everybody in here knows what it means to flip, right? I think everybody's heard that, right? You know, we hear even rappers talking about, you know, making a flip, right? But it's not usually the kind of flip you're talking about. But basically, you're speaking a language that I think a lot of people understand and can relate to. Okay, so flipping up, flip. So everybody type the word flip in the chat. Let's think about flipping, what that looks like. Like right now, you see people making flips that are basically they're saying things like, I bought Dogecoin for a nickel. Now I flipped it up to 60 cents a coin, right? And that's what a lot of wealth in investing in business comes down to. It's buy low, sell high, you know, flip up, right? Buy it for this price, sell it for that price. You do that over and over in your life, you're going to win. Or in Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson refers to what he calls the doctrinal unequal exchange, which is the opposite of an up flip. It's a down flip where you're trading something of value and getting something of less value. And that's where I would say excessive consumerism kind of fits, right? You know, like I'm going to give you $300 and you're going to give me some Beats by Dre headphones, which I can't resell for anything, right? As opposed to, say, a real estate deal where I'm going to give a certain amount of money and we know that that value is going to go up. So let me ask you this. How did you get into this aspect of law? Like, what was this something that you wanted to do since you were a little girl, or you stumbled into it, or what was your path to get here?
I started thinking, because I thought real estate was cool. That's it. I just was like, this is cool. There was a point where I wasn't, you know, I went to amazing schools, right? You know, I went to Columbia for undergrad and then went to the University of Virginia, as you mentioned, for law school. There was a point in time when I wasn't even going to practice, when I thought, oh no, I'm not going to do this. But I discovered what I really liked, and that got me into the practice, and that was commercial real estate is kind of where it started. I started in Los Angeles, you know, just working at an escrow company in California. Real estate closings are done by escrow companies versus other states like Georgia, where real estate closings have to be done by attorneys. So what happened was, in order for me to do what I wanted to do in the location in which I wanted to do it, which was Georgia, I had no choice but to practice law. So that's what brought me back to the practice. And I've been here ever since, you know, so I am all about the real estate piece. And then business is I grew up in a small business family, small business that still exists today. My parents are Liberian immigrants. They, you know, my family is about business. So I grew up seeing the benefits of entrepreneurship. I grew up, you know, hearing some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face because my parents were dealing with them on a day-to-day basis. So in addition to just having entrepreneurship in my blood, I have a true heart for entrepreneurs. So once I got into the commercial real estate piece and was practicing law, business owners wanted help. Business owners needed help. And the key thing with an attorney relationship is trust. So once they trusted me with one thing, they felt comfortable, as they should, you know, in reaching out to me for other things. So I ended up incorporating other, you know, that's where the business piece started to come in. And over time, the franchise piece came in as well. And fortunately for me, all of my practice areas are so closely related, and I stay in my lane. Business, real estate, and, you know, including franchise, those are my lanes. I don't do personal injury. I don't do stuff that is not in my wheelhouse. I just, you know, I do what I'm great at, and that's what I stick with.
Well, you know, I like that a lot. And everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Attorney Tanya Nebo out of Atlanta, and she's the founder, if I'm want to speak, of the Nebo Law Group, correct? Did I say that right? Yes, the founder of Nebo Law Group. And everybody say hi to her as you come into the chat. Also, please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button. So let's talk a little bit about what you just mentioned with your family. I'm really intrigued by that. I remember when I was in high school and I was 17 years old, I was about to go to college, just like our son. You know, you guys know it. A lot of you guys who don't know, I'm getting married this month, and our son, which is her son, but it's our son. He has three. He's lucky enough to have three parents, two great dads, and I'm one of them. And and a mom. So we have triple parents. So he has an advantage. But you know, when he's planning to go to college, which is the University of Louisville, which there you go right here.
Okay.
Yeah. We're celebrating. The whole family is excited about it. And you know, but one of the things I remember was when I was his age, and I actually lived in Louisville. And I remember I was 17. I did not know what to do with my life. I didn't know, you know, I was like, okay, I know I don't want to be poor, but I don't know what profession to go into. I don't know what to do. And I remember my father, who was a cop at the time, basically said, if you want to make money, go to law school, become a corporate lawyer. And now here was my thinking. My thinking at the time, which that's what I was going to do. Like for years, I was going to be. I decided to become a professor. Yeah, I decided to become a professor when I was 20 years old because I met my mentor, Dr. Tommy Whitler, who's a marketing professor, and he's the one that introduced me to that. So it's amazing how these one or two little conversations can change everything. When you have no guidance, one person can say, "Go over there," and you're like, "Okay," and you go over there for the next 20 years. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important. Everybody should understand your power when you talk to young people. Like they will, if they don't know what to do, if they have no vision, like they're going to follow what you say or what you do. So you got to think about that, be conscious about that. So anyway, I remember thinking, Attorney Nebo, I remember thinking about becoming a corporate lawyer as, okay, great. I'll go work for a law firm. I'll learn business and I'll be good at it. And someone will pay me lots of money, you know, and I'll have a big paycheck from a big firm. I did not think about things like creating a firm. I didn't think about entrepreneurship, but you mentioned that in your family, you had a culture of entrepreneurship, that your parents were into business ownership, things like that. And I think that's pretty significant. I think culture is a huge part of economics. Can you kind of speak to that in terms of culture and maybe what you saw growing up that's a little bit different from what some people see and some things that the parents in the room can learn from in terms of how to guide our kids to really live their best life, so to speak?
That is a really great question because, you know, these need to be modeled for us, right? We need to see certain things and see them and see it in action and kind of get it in our spirit and become accustomed to it on the basis of what we're seeing. So for me, I am so grateful. I'm grateful that I saw my parents do what they did in business. I'm grateful for the challenges that I got a chance to see. I'm grateful for the fact that I knew very early on that it was doable. It wasn't foreign to me to have anyone, you know, to entrepreneurship wasn't something that I felt only other people could do. So I'm grateful for that. But to your point about, you know, parents being aware of what they are exposing their children to, you would be surprised the things that you are exposing them to and not exposing them to. So on the flip side of this entrepreneurship thing, and I say this because it's very timely, and I was literally just talking to my mother about this yesterday. You know, my parents were hustlers. Hustle culture, we talk about hustle culture now. Let me tell you about immigrant hustle culture. Okay. It was, they were grinding. And my father still to this day at 60 something years old, he goes into his store every day still. Now, granted, he loves being there, but the thing is, one thing I didn't see was vacation for the sake of vacating. Because every time we went somewhere, it was because so my parents could order more beauty supplies, or, you know, my father would go to China to get hair before it was cool to go to China to get hair. So be aware of parents be aware of what you're showing your kids and what you're not showing them. So I, as an adult, I also hustle, right? We all got to work hard, right? But because I saw entrepreneurs who were working hard all of the time, vacation is a different thing, right? I have to be cognizant of going on vacation and not working on vacation. That's a thing. You see what I mean? So what you do, you're not doing. And you probably know exactly. Yeah. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't take vacations, but I don't really need one because I just like what I do, and I take a vacation every day. I just got off vacation. I just got off vacation 10 minutes ago because I took a nap in the afternoon. Right. I don't, you know,
napcations. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I want to take a break, I just take a break. Like, you know, when the dynamics, I felt that when I didn't have a boss, I just moved different. I didn't see work as something I had to get away from. It was like a work-life blend where this is my life. Like, this is really who I am. Like, you know, the way I'm talking to you, right now. I want everybody to know this. Right now, I am talking to my intelligent friend and having a great conversation. I could be on vacation right now having the same conversation, and I wouldn't say, "Oh, come on, Tanya, you're talking about family wealth and economics. That's too much. That's work." No, it's not work. This is fun for me. Like this, and I think that's what leads. I tell you, Alicia and I have different views on what we tell the kids, to do when they grow up. She's the one who talks about, oh, you want to be an accountant, a doctor, or a lawyer, or go to this college and that. I'm the person who says, let's figure out who you are, right? Let's figure out who you are and what makes you happy, and then let's figure out if we can monetize that somehow, right? And the way we might do that might be to make sure you have the tools of monetization. Make sure you understand how investors operate, real estate, stocks and bonds, entrepreneurship. And then spin that into like it's almost like the monetization is like an engine with wheels that you're putting on your maybe who you are is the body of the car, right? So you are a Lamborghini, you are a Porsche. Now you just need an engine for you to go places you want to go. So maybe the monetization, the economic aspect is the engine on that car. But I don't want you to feel like you have to go get in a different car because you don't know how to build an engine, right? Because you think about monetizing who you are. Like the little one, she's a dancer and a singer and entertainer. She wants to make movies and all that. Well, that's easy. I mean, if you know how to do it, right, you can make money. She can make a living doing that, right? And then it's like, yeah, and then you can spend your whole life being a little girl. The same things you're doing when you're 10, getting up making TikTok videos and making content, right? You can do that till the day you die, right? And I think shaping careers like that is a little bit better. Then it's like starting from the root and building off the root of who you are, as opposed to starting from something else and saying, okay, I'm going to find some way to become a person who wants to be in a hospital all day around blood and guts because that's the only way I know how to go and make money. Right. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And what you're saying, I'm resonating with it because it's important for people to be aware that to be mindful in choosing the kinds of businesses and enterprises they go into. So you're talking about going to the root of who a person is and what makes them tick, right? And then them monetizing that. Well, a person like me, the part of the value of a vacation and part of the reason that there are so many challenges for attorneys, literally from a mental health standpoint and a wellness standpoint, like suicide and alcoholism is a big deal in the legal community because we are solving other people's problems all of the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so when someone comes to me, I need to help. I need to fix your problem. Oh. And I'm personally, and not person, I am intimately involved with your problem because it is my to think of the things that could go wrong in your situation and protect you from them. That's a different kind of something on a person, right? So great, and you got to do, we do what we do and we do it well, but it's a different kind of enterprise. It's a different kind of work. So as you were speaking to being aware of how a person, how a person operates and, who they are at the root of themselves, keep in mind what different types of businesses can support that. Don't just jump into some business just because you got to be aware of these things. So it's important to be mindful, to be intentional, even back to franchising when people are like, what franchise should I do? I'm like, what life do you want?
That's such a powerful point. I'm marrying a therapist and I see how drained Alicia is, where she's like, I got to take a shower. And she's like washing the day off because she's been internalizing people's problems all day long. And I agree. And I think that to your point, what that makes me think about is maybe the way I take my vacation is when I do detach and disconnect. Like, I spend so much time, say, online, that when I go on a vacation, it's when I'm completely disconnected from all of it. It's like, no, I'm not taking any calls. I'm not talking to anybody, so that's a great point. So let me ask you this, Attorney Tanya Nebo. And by the way, as we're talking, your what Instagram should people follow if they want to connect with you? Should they follow Nebo Law on Instagram?
Where they should go? Well, yes, they can follow Nebo Law. However, they can also go to the website, nebolaw.com.
Okay, nebolaw.com. I'm going to put that website on the screen so everybody can follow, because people are asking about you. So let's ask about a little bit about franchising. You are, in my view, one of the greatest people that you're definitely the greatest I've ever seen at helping families to jump into the franchise game. Franchising seems to me, or not, well, from what I've done in my own research, a great way to get into business without having to sort of figure it all out in terms of, what kind of business model should I have, what works, what doesn't. Can you talk about the advantages of starting a franchise or becoming a part of a franchise?
Okay. And what you just mentioned is exactly like one of the key benefits of a franchise, of getting into franchise. You've got someone else's successful system, something that they've proven that works and that can be profitable. What they're doing is they're taking that system and they're letting another person use it. And the idea that system should be one that is duplicatable. It should have documentation. It should have an existing brand, and there should be, value attached to that brand. So it's a great opportunity to be in business without starting from scratch, without having to, build those things that you would otherwise have to build if you were not taking on someone else's system. Of course, that comes at a cost, right? They expect you to pay for this system that they put together and pay for this brand and the branded recognition that they've already created. But it is a wonderful opportunity and business model for certain people. It is not for everyone. I am not, someone who, I get paid from helping people get into whatever kind of business they're going to get into. So I have no particular, it doesn't matter. I'll help you either way. But franchising can be really amazing for people who can follow a system and people who don't care about building their own brand. If you're a person who insists on building your own brand and letting that be the business you're going to focus on right now, then franchising may not be for you. But for someone who can follow a system, who does not want to start from scratch, who really would like a roadmap and also want the support that comes from, being in the franchise model, it is really an amazing system. It really is. So I like it. I think it makes sense.
Well, you know what I like about that word? I like the word system. I like the fact, when you mention the word system, that's an economic trigger word for me, because one thing I learned the hard way was a lot of us grow up, thinking about making money through labor. Like you say, hey, mama, I need some money. She says, you better get a job, right? And that's where we're leaning on what is referred to as human capital, meaning our own blood, sweat, and tears and time that's put into doing a job for somebody. Somebody gives us a paycheck. And what I learned when I got older was that the better way to get to where the money resides is through systems. And because systems introduce ideas like, for example, the use of technology that allows you to scale, maybe delegation to other team members, or following some process that maybe someone else put together that you can follow that will allow things to get done. So things like processes and delegation and technology, that's when you get that ability to really explode in terms of your income earning potential, right? And so like a person who knows how to manage relationships, for example, and work as a team player is gonna do a lot better in life than a person who just knows how to work themselves into a grave, right?
Yeah.
And so I've even told parents, and parents that are listening, I hope you'll listen here. I've actually said that, most of the young kids in our community, I think they'd be just as well off to learn at an early age how to set up systems to make money.
Oh yeah.
Than by using labor, filling out resumes and all that, because a system can work when you're asleep. A system can work around the clock, 24 hours a day. A system allows you to work, instead of working 80 hours a week, 70 hours a week, you can work 1,000 hours a week because you got a system. You've got people, you got processes in place. You got people sort of working with you. So I like that idea. I like the idea of a system, and I link that back to franchising, where it's sort of like someone saying, here's my system. Like, don't figure it all out. Building a brand is hard. It takes a long time. I have a couple of brands. I have some brands, and I'm a brand builder. I've built brands, and believe me, it takes years and lots of money and time, and you spend a lot of years. Like even if you think about the brand of Dr. Boyce Watkins, right? Do you know how many years I spent where nobody gave a damn about Dr. Boyce? Like, you know how long it took like 7 years before I got anybody to even think of Dr. Boyce as an important brand. If I could have just paid some money and leverage someone else's brand, like let's say Michael Eric Dyson sold me his brand and said, you can just franchise my brand, just pay me a fee and you can use my name. That's beautiful. In fact, actually, now that I think about it, I remember the first conversation I ever had with Cornel West, who I admired for years before he even talked to me because he didn't know who I was. First thing he said was, he said, He said, "Hey, brother, I love what you're doing. If you ever want to use my name for any reason, just go ahead." And now I look back on that, and that was him basically. Like, yeah, I know I'm trying to, right? That's my Cornell West imitation. I love this man, by the way. He's a wonderful man. And that was him saying, here, take my brand. I've already built it. Use that for your own benefit. And I just think that's powerful, right? So when a company allows you to pay a fee to use their brand and use their system, and if it works for you, I think that's a great way to go into business. So can you maybe tell us, and I'm going to actually put a link up because we're partnering. You're coming to the Black Business School. You're going to do a 6-week masterclass actually on how to get started in franchising. And I'm going to put the URL up for anybody that wants to take a look. But can you kind of speak to that? Maybe some stories you've seen of families that have used franchising as a way to really flip up, so to speak, flip their life up, like sort of make that transition from employee to business owner and turn that into family wealth, things like that. What stories have you seen?
So the cool thing about franchising is that, and people often don't realize this, but in this country, there are over 4,000 franchise systems, over 4,000, different brands. And getting into any of these brands, there's a huge range. So you can get in on the low end, let's say lower cost brand. And of course you can get into the higher cost brands. And we know what some of those are. Those worldwide brands that we all recognize, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, and those other ones, right? So the good thing is that it's not, you can get in, there's just different places that you get in on it. So we had, at one point, you remember, of course, you remember when I taught the franchise program with the Black Business School, some years before, we had someone in that class go from knowing zero, like when we started, he knew zero about franchising. By the time we were done with that program, he was a franchisee. And the way he did it was a simple, small little loan from his mother-in-law. It was either his mother or his mother-in-law. And he started with a cleaning service, and he did it with less than $1,500. And people don't realize you can do that. There are levels to this. And so what I love is that you can start, like I said, you can start small, or there are people who I've worked with. This is one of the deals that I'm particularly proud of is it was two Black families, two Black couples, and each of them, the guys were kind of spearheading the project, but they each had, regular jobs. And we did a 3-store deal for them where they essentially went from not being business owners one day to owning 3 stores after we closed. And, they got funding, they got, and we did all of that. We worked together. It was like, I am so proud of those kinds of stories because, it sounds funny when people say, oh, one day you're this and the next day you're that. But for them, that was really the case. It took time and work to get the deal done, but suddenly they owned 3 franchises. And these weren't the cleaning franchises. These were major stores that had been in existence for a while. So the first example I gave you was a situation where we had the student start a new franchise. The other situation was one where these families bought existing stores. So there are a number of ways to get into this. There are a number of different levels to get in with this. So it's the key thing is the model and just finding out where you fit in the model. Like which brand makes sense for you if this is the right model for you. And again, it's not for everyone, but it can be for so many people.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'm really intrigued by just franchising in general. Because I was, before I knew much about it, before I met you, I used to think, when I thought about franchising, I thought about things like owning a McDonald's franchise, right? Or trying to get a Chick-fil-A. I'm sure we got a Chick-fil-A bag around here somewhere. At least you bought some Chick-fil-A, right? And but then you dig in and you find out that there's all these franchises that are out there. And I really like the idea of really thinking in terms of systems and structure, and people realizing that you don't have to start everything from nothing. That there are people that have already done a lot of that work, years and years of work, where you can lean on that in order to just jump right in and turn that into your family business, et cetera. Now, Tanya's franchise investing masterclass starts May 11th. I said March 11th by accident in the chat. That's because I'm stupid. That's because for some reason the word March comes up in my head. I have no idea. But May 11th. So that's in a few days, actually. And the URL is on the screen. If anybody wants to take a look, you can go to franchiseinvestingmasterclass.com. I can tell you, Tanya knows what she's talking about. She's one of the best in the world at what she does. I've never met anybody better at what you do, and so it's awesome to get a chance to work with the best that's in our community, because we have really smart people in our community like Tanya, and they're not always the ones that you're going to see on national TV and stuff like that. She's off working, she's busy working, but that's why we're here. We're here to bring people like this to you, so you know what kind of gems you have in your own community. So I'll let you get the last word, Attorney Nebo. Did you have anything you wanted to share before you take off?
Yeah, this is something that I always want to share with folks, and that is especially our community, is that if this is something that you want to do, it is doable. Okay. You don't worry about the how and trying to put everything in place first. You focus on the what. What do you want to do? If this is what you want to do, it can be done. And I gave you an example of, getting in, where money is a non-issue. If you want to be able to, take advantage of someone else's brand, get your foot in the door and start running a business, you can do it. Okay. So again, don't worry about the how. We can talk through that stuff in the masterclass, where you can, reach out to me one-on-one, but the how is not your concern. It's what is it? Do you want to be in a model like this or not? Okay. And also, you'll find in the class, and generally just in working with me, that I'm about execution and action. Like, watching videos is great. Reading books is great. At some point, you've got to be doing things. Okay. So we will be talking through action steps. And, again, if you, based on what you learn, if this is something you say, I really want to, this is something I really want to do, then we will be about that.
Well, I love what you just said. Because when I think about even my own life and the things that I did right, we don't do everything as perfect as we want, but the touchdowns I scored, it usually came down to me. First, I would identify the why. Like, I must quit my job because I hate it here, right? And then it becomes the what. Okay, what will I do next? Like, okay, I need to go start a business, right? And then the how kind of fills in it's almost like your subconscious mind or your spirit allows you to fill in the how. You just go to people and you say, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is why. And the how, and the win is as soon as possible. That was usually the process, and so I love it. I love and I encourage everybody to sort of take a look at what Attorney Nebo is doing, because a lot of times when you're trying to make that escape and you're trying to go toward the North Star and things like that, these experts like Attorney Nebo are your guides that can let you know you ain't got to do it by yourself. You got other people that are doing the same thing, that are trying to figure it out. Some people already know these solutions that have done this 1,000 times. Don't do it by yourself. You don't have to do that. So feel free to take a look at the program. It's offered by the Black Business School. Attorney Nebo agreed to partner with us on this, and there is a money back guarantee, right? So if you get in there and you say, "Oh, this is whack. Dr. Boyce is lying to me. Attorney Nebo." Like, there's no risk, right? Like it's not like we're gonna say, "Oh, well, screw you. We got your money." Ha ha ha. No, we're not here to do that. We want to build a Black-owned university because Black people need to learn from the experts that are in our community who can help us solve the specific problems that exist for us. We know what the why is and we know what the what is. Let us help you with the how, and the win is now. So there we go. So Attorney Nebo, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and thank you all. I appreciate you. Everybody have a great rest of the night.
Yes. And everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button on your way out. And don't forget, later on tonight, we'll have Farmer Brown, the MC, coming through. He's an agriculture expert from Kentucky State University that's going to talk about growing your own food. So we've had a busy day today. We had Dr. Claude Anderson on earlier, Attorney Tanya Nebo, and later on we'll have Farmer Brown, the MC. And so we just got great people in the community that can help you become the best Black person you can be. So take care, guys. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.